Hello student, the vital energy in its universal application. This is the very important lecture from philosophy of H.A. Robert. The principle and art of cure by homeopathy. In this book, Dr. H.A. Robert explained the various philosophical perspective regarding the principle of homeopathy, and he in this previous lecture we also learned the concept of vital force in homeopathy, and in last lecture we learned the role of vital force in health, disease, recovery and cure. In this series of lecture of vital force, he tried to explain that without the principle of vital force or without this theory of vital force, you can't practice homeopathy effectively, because it is an inevitable part of life. Students, you know, Hahnemann's view as a vitalist are well known. Medical histories in medical history unfortunately have confused Hahnemann with the other vitalists that dominated the psychological scene. This confusion gets cleared up when we are guided carefully through Cosmos, distinguishing clearly between the principle and the force, the unmanifested and the manifested force. In this lecture, we are going to learn what is the relation of the human life or the vital force in human being, how it is a part of this vital force of this cosmic energy, and human being is a part of this cosmos, and therefore the unmanifested and the manifested functions, or you can say the observation you have to done at the macrosome level and the macrosome level, not forgetting the interrelationships that obtain, isn't it? So that the whole is not lost in our zeal for analysis. And this concept of vital force, which Hahnemann discussed in his aphorism number 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. In this 13th aphorism, he explained the materialism in medicine. While how it is this materialism in medicine is not applicable, this empirical observation at the bedside, these are totally useless whenever we apply this materialistic concept. Have got it? And therefore this philosophical dynamization deserves a fuller exposition in practice of homeopathy. Let us learn what is the actual concept given by Dr. H.A. Robert in this lecture. Yes, let us read. In the title, he explains that, the title expresses itself that the vital energy of the human being or the individual person, and in its universal application, that means this vital energy is not only you observe in human being or any animal kingdom, while it is of the universal application. Whatever things, whatever object, whatever is a part of a universe, it is fully endowed with this vital energy. Let us read. The vital energy is that force which animates each individual. Yes, every one of you know the meaning of this the vital energy animates the material body of the individual, animates movement, create the movement. While the vital energy is in the individual, that individual is said to have life, to exist. Yes, whenever this vital energy or the existence of this vital energy expressed or manifested through this individual, the material body of the individual, and whenever there is the existence of this vital energy, that individual is said to have life. It is a living organism, to be exist, and this life is exists through its activity. Even as the individual is derived from, becomes from the mating of two individuals. Yes, in previous lecture we already learned that this how this individual life is developed, isn't it? This individual life develop, or you can say how this vital energy is transferred to the another individual person, and it is this vital energy, it is as it is energy, it is not created, not destroyed, but it is just transferred from one form to another form. According to this principle, you observe that even as the individual is derived from, yes, this every individual is derived from their parents or their parental cell, you can say, and becomes from the mating of two individuals. Yes, from the mature, or there is a this mating of these two matured individual person is responsible for giving birth to another individual. Yes, you every one of you know that what is the physiology behind this. It is a this from the cell mating of which has vital force may be handed on with physical characteristic of the parents. Yes, this cell mating, that is the union of the ovum and sperm, of which the life energy or the vital energy, vital force of the ovum and vital force of the sperm, as there is a have this, we call the vital force because these are live cell, these are not a dead cell, and therefore live ovum mate with a live sperm, and by the union of these resulted into the zygote formation, and vital force may be handed with physical characteristic. This characteristic feature, whatever is the DNA, RNA, or the whatever is the chromosomal pattern available in ovum of the parent cell and the sperm of the parent cell, these whatever is the characteristic, these are dominant in nature, carry forward the physical characteristic or also the mental characteristic also of the parents. So it is the vital force itself derived from an infinite source. Yes, so the vital force itself derived from an infinite source. Yes, it is same thing, it is just transferred from generation to generation. We don't know what is the origin of this human being, or how this, or we are or we don't know regarding who was our antecedent, isn't it? How this or we are in which person we are in a direct relationship, isn't it? There is a very vast you can say you don't have such type of knowledge how the human beings, or who is the first person, who is the first individual, as which is responsible for our life, isn't it? So is the vital force itself derived from an infinite source. It is an infinite source, it is not a limited one. The life is continue from millions of years, and it would be existed for millions of years, isn't it? It is a storehouse of dynamic power. Yes, it is a storehouse of dynamic power and capable of developing and reproducing to an infinite degree in its manifestation. Yes, you know what happened whenever there is a mating. After mating, there is the zygote is formed. since the time the human zygote is formed, this vital force enters the field of human dynamics, isn't it? It is a dynamic power. The storehouse of dynamic power means it is whenever the zygote is formed, now it is in a field of human dynamics, and therefore this decoding of the all chromosome may lead to the development of the human being, and without which, or without this vital force, you can say there is no development. There is no you can say the development of cells are divided and form the morula, blastula, then fetal stage. All this stage is not, or you can say the anabolism and catabolism would be all impossible. And it is a preserver and controller as well as promoter of human dynamics. It is not only meant for the developing, while it is a preserver, controller and promoter of human dynamics in its entire lifespan, and whatever is the functions initiated by the union or by mating of this living ovum and sperm, which resulted into zygote. This zygote endowed with it is a storehouse of dynamic power, and it is resulted into various activities of the life, and at the time of death it withdraws itself from this dynamic at supreme command, you can say, as it is a part of this cosmic energy. It is a universal application. Yes, it is withdraw from itself. Yet each individual partaking in greater or less degree of general vital characteristic common to all. Yes, as the individuality is maintained by the vital force, the characteristic of each and every human being, the personality of the human being, every human being is maintained by the vital force, yet each individual partaking in greater or less degree of general vital characteristic common to all, while some characteristic feature being human are very much common. If you see the human being, it has a particular morphological structure, as one head, one trunk, two extremities, etc. Every human being inevitably must have this morphological structure, then you call it is a human being. Have you got this? While in spite of that, all common symptoms inside also, every person has its common characteristic like lungs, internal organs, everything is common. Still it maintains its own characteristic feature. Along with this common, there are uncommon characteristic features are also maintained by the vital force. Yes, it is quite difficult to understand, yet if you clearly understand the meaning of this word, then it is not difficult, so much difficult. Let us take the next paragraph. The vital force in the individual becomes therefore the ego. Yes, ego means it is not ahankar, you can say, it is a maintenance of the personality. It is a self-esteem, isn't it? This self-esteem, that most intimate spark of the individual, which is in itself the essence of the individual. Yes, every individual or the individual characteristic of the every person is very differentiating one human being from another person. This man inherits through genetic codes all that has gone in his past, and he is born with all these characteristic feature of his parents. isn't it? And therefore his physical, emotional and moral attributes are all determined, at least partially, though not entirely, at the time of his conception. Even though in his struggle for existence he is purely motivated by his biological intelligence, he develops within himself a suprastructure with the help of which he is in a position to discriminate between good and bad, which act as a control mechanism of his biological intelligence. Yes, this suprastructure which is maintain the ego, and it possesses all the qualities of which you can say the biological intelligence. This closely relates him to all living creatures. Yes, the all physiological functions, this all biological maintenance, biological intelligence, which responsible for carrying out life, preserver of life, or promotion of life. This is all common in all living creature. Yet he is identical with none. Yes, in spite of that, yes, it is a very common symptoms of every creature, but still there is this identity or the individuality is maintained. It is at once his tie to all energy, all vitality, all life, and at the same time his insulation against the mass power of the whole. That means, let us try to understand की तो त्याचे मॅक्झिमम कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक हे कॉमनच असतात. त्याचं मॉर्फोलॉजिकल स्ट्रक्चर ह्युमन बिंगचं कॉमन असतं, इंटरनल ऑर्गन कॉमन असतात, सर्व काही कॉमन असताना देखील तो एक त्या कम्युनिटीचा भागच असतो, म्हणजे ह्युमन बिंगचा भागच असतो, सर्व लोकांसारखाच तो असतो. पण तरीही हा व्हायटल फोर्स त्याचं इन्सुलेशन मीन्स इट इज अ सेपरेटेड, यू कॅन से इट इज प्रोटेक्ट और सेपरेटेड डिफरंट, पण त्या सर्व लोकांच्या मास पॉवर म्हणजे ज्या सगळ्या लोकांपासून तो वेगळा पण असतो, प्रत्येक व्यक्ती, प्रत्येक इंडिव्हिज्युअल. Have you got this? Probably religion was the first expression of thought. Yes, the next paragraph. This concept of vital force is not only given by Dr. Hahnemann, but before Dr. Hahnemann, you know, in every civilization and every culture there is in every culture all people know this or you can say the existence of this vital energy in life, isn't it? In every culture it is called with a different terminology, you know, but every culture know this expression, and it is probably expressed through every religion. Probably religion was the first expression of thought to formulate this vital concept of life. Many religions through many ages have expressed the thought we found in the Bible, and the Lord God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Yes, it is a quotation given from Bible. Let us try to understand first in various culture. For example, in China it is called the Qi, or in Latin it is called the Viti or spirit, and in Indian culture you can say it is called the soul, as Atma, Pran, Jiv, like that. That means every religion has every religion well acquainted with this life energy, isn't it? This vital concept of life, and these are called with a different terminology. Let us take the example of the Bible. And the Lord God breathe into his nostril the breath of life. The man become a living soul. Yes, as this the initiation of the life is started as the breathing of the God, isn't it? And the second quotation is, before Abraham was I am. Yes, it is a quotation by Jesus Christ that before Abraham was I am. What do you mean by this quotation? You know, it is from Bible. It means that he was there before the earth, isn't it? It is a direct meaning of this. Before Abraham was I am. Who is Abraham? Let us try. It is Abraham was the this terminology also got the Abraham also, and this Abraham or Abraham is a head of the family. It is a head of the family, and it is considered the head of the family in Jewish, or you can say it is Judaism and Christianity and Islam. It is the three religions consider that this Abraham was his chief of the or head of the family, and from Abraham all these human beings are derived, isn't it? The Abraham is best known for the depth of his faith, or it is a messenger of God. He plays a prominent role as an example of faith in Judaism, Christianity and Islam, and as it is called the head of family, but Jesus called it I was before Abraham. That means it is since antiquity there is the existence of life. Since it means there is he means that he was there before the earth. Before Abraham I was born, isn't it? That means it is just example how the religion is also influenced, or how the religion is agreed on this vital aspect of the life. Religion accept the concept of infinite life on the spiritual plane. Yes, the spiritual plane at the spiritualism is present in each and every religion, which is regarding the infinite life. Yes, I am here and I was before this existence of human being or existence of earth, like that. Religion accepts the concept of infinite life on the spiritual plane, but has not attempted to apply it to all planes of existence. Science accepts it in part. Yes, science is also accepted this existence of the infinite life of or the energy, existence of the energy, but it is only partially accepted. One is tempted to say in fragments. Yes, it is only accepted fragmentally, but science has never correlated the whole, even on the material or the intellectual plane. Yes, but the science is not accepted it as everything is influenced by the life energy. While these they in life there is only the acceptance on the physical level. That means physical level, then the materialistic concept which they can observe or see or touch, hear with the sense organ. Whenever it is the existence of this vital energy is not perceived or you cannot see through your eyes, it is not accepted because it is not correlated with the sense organ. By the application of the sense organ you can perceive it, and therefore it is only at the material level only. Astronomy is a part of science. Astronomy is the Khagol Shastra, which is related to the study of planet and study of space. Astrology is a part of science. Mathematics is an essential component of astronomy. Astronomy and mathematics, viewed in the light of the whole vision of vital energy, are essentially a partial proof of the omnipresence of vital energy as being the moving energy, the activating power of universe. If you know the origin, how the origin of this origin of the life or origin of the solar system or origin of the earth, how this solar system is developed, it is just the various theories are there, the Kepler's theory and various other astronomers put forth their theories, while every theory initiated from the vision of vital energy. Their theory is always initiated from the vital energy, and it get condensed and form different solar system in space, and therefore this vital energy are the essentially partial proof of the omnipresence. Omnipresence means which is presence everywhere. The vital energy which observed present everywhere as being the moving energy, the activating power of the universe. Then they only accepted this vital energy as it is responsible for the moving of the or activating this universe, activating power of the universe. As logic deal with the principles governing the comparative and constructive faculties in the pursuit and use of truth, let us apply this science to our theorem and reason this through to its natural conclusion. Yes, as astronomy, as science accepted the omnipresence of the vital energy, by application of the logic, let us apply this omnipresence of the vital energy in medical field, isn't it? This logic deal with the principles governing the comparative and constructive faculty. You have to compare these vital energy with the construction of the human being. You correlate this principle to the human being in the pursuit, and it is a chasing and use of truth. You should not pretend to not acceptance of the aspect of life while you accept the truth. Let us apply this science of our theorem. That is, let us apply this application of or the presence of vital energy in life, how it is applicable in homeopathy, and reason this through its natural conclusion. Without this vital force can be no life, no development, since there is no static condition in nature. Without a healthy normal development of the vital force, we find a state of decay. Yes, you know, as we are without this vital force, there is no life. Every one of you know, no development. Since there is no static condition in nature, yes, nature is dynamic, you know, and every part of it is vibrant with activity. Therefore, it is a fallacy to conceive of nature without change. A multitude of phenomena in nature conceive us that these multitude phenomena in nature convince us that nature and dynamization are inseparable, and logically and functionally they represent the same, and therefore whatever is a part of nature, these are all endowed with the vital energy. If there is no vital energy, it is a state of decay and death. As homeopathic philosophers, we do not concern ourselves at this time with the sociological aspect of his problem. Although inference from the foregoing statements may seem obvious, it is our duty to consider these primarily as they relate to the physical, mental and spiritual well-being of our patient. Yes, without the concept of this vital force, or although the inference from the foregoing statement, or whenever we take the inference of the whatever the statement we learn in previous lecture previously, these are all very much obvious, and it is our duty to consider these primarily as relate to the physical, mental and spiritual well-being of our patient. You correlate this role of vital force in the maintenance of this physical, mental and spiritual health of our patient, and how it is affected whenever person in disease. We have observed in the duty of the human race, we have observed in the study of the human race that life is perpetuated under certain favorable condition of mating. Yes, life is perpetuated means it is a keep alive. It is keep alive under certain favorable conditions of mating. Mating, it is the time of conception. It is true that physical characteristics are handed on from parents of offspring, but that the parents actually give life to the child, we may reasonably doubt. Yes, here we know that the life of the offspring is given by parents, isn't it? But H. Robert told that, but that the parents actually give life to the child, we may reasonably doubt. We may say with assurance that under favorable circumstances, life is handed on from the parents to the child is more or less perfect vigor. Vigor, it is a physical strength, you can say, or the health. That means in a particular circumstances, this parental cell able to give the energy to the offspring. Whence life comes, we cannot say, but that it gives vigor in greater or less degree to the individual according to the heredity and environment, we cannot doubt. That life is continuous, we know to be true. There has been no age when all life has ceased, and we find this vital force, this energy, that this dynamics passed on in all forms and degree of living creatures. Yes, whatever is a life or this life energy maintain every phases of life in various degree. History shows us that life has thus been manifest for so many centuries that we come by deductive reasoning to comprehend that life is infinite. It is eternally going on and on. Yes, the life energy is continuously going on and on. There is no cessation, and it is continue from many centuries. Let us take the next paragraph. Where there is vital force, there is action. There is motion. Action is one interpretation, one manifestation of vital force. Yes, this motion or action is only the part of its expression, isn't it? The part of its manifestation, while so many other functions carried out by vital force. We speak of the intimate as dead. Manifestation of vital force. We speak of the inanimate as dead, yet with death there is always decay. We think of the earth and other planet as dead. Yes, whenever there is no motion, we think that there is death. But what happened? Where there is vital force, there is action, motion. Action is one of the interpretation, one manifestation of vital force. We speak of the inanimate as dead, yet with death there is always decay. We think of the earth and other planets as dead. Yes, we think that these are only the material thing, yet they are in continual motion. Yes, there is a continuous motion of the planet according to their regular and defined direction through the universe, which has been observed and recorded by man. Yes, आपण म्हणतो की ज्याची मुवमेंट होत नाही ते डेड आहे, पण हे प्लॅनेटला पण आपण डेड समजतो. ऍक्च्युअली दीज आर ऑल मुव्हिंग थिंग्स अँड ॲज देर इज सम मुवमेंट दीज आर possesses the vital energy. We may reason therefore that since these great bodies have regular motion and direction, they are impelled by some force. Yes, this motion is definitely influenced by some super energy, that is a cosmic energy. They are impelled by some force, some energy, which although it may not be what we have come to call the vital energy, is in degree closely related to it. Yes, as these all planets are moving in a specific direction and with specific motion, some energy may be control this motion of the planet, isn't it? Yet we don't have a knowledge which energy we call as it is a cosmic energy. If therefore this force, this energy actuates and permeates all form and degrees of life, from the most humble and inconspicuous to the very planet. Yes, inconspicuous means it is a unnoticeable, unclearly visible. It is very low degree of, or you can't observe it. It is not obvious. To the very planet, we may reasonably assume that vital force is the most fundamental of all conditions of the universe, and that the law governing the vital force in the individual are correlated with the laws which govern all vital force, all form of energy, wherever, all however expressed. Yes, as we are a part of this planet, that is earth, which is already moving. Yes, it is alive, it is controlled by the cosmic energy. Similarly, our human life is also controlled by some form of energy, as we call it is a vital energy. If we have no motion, no action, no direction without vital energy, it must be this energy which is responsible for growth, all development in all spheres of existence. Yes, it is responsible for the development of each species, each thing, everything on the earth or everything on the planet. Like all laws, the laws governing the vital force may be infringed to some degree. Infringe means to break. Like all laws, the laws governing vital force may be infringed to some degree. Yes, it is break somehow. The privilege granted to human life is the right of choice, and the right of choice implies degrees of choice. Yes, human beings endowed with a mind, brain, well developed brain is there, and God give the privilege granted to human life is the choice, right choice. Yes, it is a judgmental brain. You can very well decide what is right and what is wrong, and it is totally depending on the degree of choice. The planet being set in their courses. Yes, the planet being set in their courses have no right of choice and move always according to law. Yes, this planet being no choice, no brain, no right of choice, and move always according to law, and therefore according to the law of nature, according to the law of cosmic energy, as it is influenced by, they very regularly follow the law of nature, and there is no choice, no right of choice, move always according to law. Human being, we know to exercise the right of choice. Yes, human being is always aware for his right. He don't know what is right and what is wrong, still he was always fight for his right, isn't it? And human being, we know to exercise the right of choice, and herein is our province of as physician. Yes, province, it is a scope. Being a physician, you have much scope. What is the choice of human being? For in making the choice, which is often a choice against natural laws, we find the vigor of the vital force, apted and retrograde action of the body, mind or spirit sets in. Yes, it is very important what is the right choice of the human being, every human individual as a human being, and you have to find out what are the characteristic feature of the particular individual, whether he follow the law of nature, whether he live against the natural law. We find, yes, it is a very which is often choice against natural law, and we find the vigor of the vital force. Yes, vigor is the strength of the vital force. Whenever human being choice against the natural law, then we find the vigor of the vital force, apted and retrograde. How it is apted? That means it is become less. Yes, whenever the human being according to their nature violate the law of nature, then it vital force apted means it is lessen, become less, or retrograde means against the or it is opposite to the direction, and in the retrograde action of the body, mind and spirit sets in. And whenever there is an obstacle occur because of the action, because of the thinking against of the human being against the nature, then it definitely disturb the flow of vital energy, which is corresponding with the cosmic energy, isn't it? And that's why as we are violate the law of nature, we are become a victim, or there is a perversion at the spirit level, mental level, and which reflected or manifested on the bodily level. Yes, it is a basic thing which you have to search out as the beginning of the disease. As we have pointed out before, vital force in its perfection means growth and development, since there is no condition of standing still in nature, and infringement of natural law means decay and death. Yes, it means this, according to infringement means it is a violation. That means you, as you are a part of this nature, as you are influenced by the cosmic energy, similarly as the all planets are influenced or regulated by this cosmic energy, as we are a part, our duty is to think rightly, because God endowed us with a choice of right. But when we violate this law of nature, there is a obstruction in the flow of vital force, which was the corresponding with this cosmic energy, isn't it? And therefore we are deviated from the state of health. If we are strictly follow the law of nature, we are on the path of perfect growth and development, that is, we can enjoy our health. Since there is no condition of standing still in nature, yes, as there is, nature is dynamic, and every part of it is a vibrant and in activity. Therefore there is no you can say still in nature, everything is ever changing. And infringement of natural law, infringement, it is a violation, उल्लंघन ज्याला आपण म्हणतो. इन्फ्रिंजमेंट ऑफ द नॅचरल लॉ मीन्स डिके अँड डेथ. द डिग्री of the infringement, either in an individual or in his preceders, determines the degree of decay and its speed. Yes. How, in what a degree there is a violation of the rule of nature, it is dependent on the development of the disease, isn't it? Determines the degree of decay, its speed, by not only by the individual, while his preceders, that means the parents, whatever is the violation of the rule occurred by the parents, they all imposed on the offspring also. Yes, it is as we are human being, we are a part of this nature, and therefore always follow the law of nature as the planets are following, because the planets they don't have a choice of right, but we have, as a human being we have. But whenever we violate the nature's law, then it definitely punish us, isn't it? Yes, it is enough for today's lecture. Let us continue the remnant part of the lecture in next lecture. Okay, thank you.